Hello and welcome to the Poetic Turn, where we talk about poetry, poems, poets, and I am very excited to bring on the Poetic Turn my longtime dear friend, someone I respect so much. I love her work so much, her poetry, of course. She is a magnificent singer-songwriter as well. And I wish we had more of a video podcast. There is a video component of this, but it's mostly an audio podcast. But so you could witness the in-person loveliness of Jenny Bienemann. But Evan, I'm excited for you to meet Jenny as well.
Yes, indeed. So glad you're here.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
And so Jenny has created an entire form, an entire thing based on poetry. And her poetry of choice, well, she's written hundreds of amazing songs as a singer-songwriter, and her husband is an astounding singer-songwriter and award-winning, as Jenny is. But she's really done a lot with the haiku form, so much so that she's created an entire amazing entity called Haiku MILIEU. And so where do we start? Do we start talking about haiku? Do we start talking about Haiku MILIEU? What do you think, Jenny?
What if we start with what is a haiku? Because that can be hotly debated between some folks. It's potentially hotly debated.
It is a source of for something that is so well documented, it is a source of great debate. So what we were taught in grade school, if we can remember that far back, is haiku's typically a 3-line poem. There's 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second, 5 syllables in the third. If you go deeper into it, the traditional form includes like a seasonal reference and a cutting word that creates sort of a poetic turn in the in the.
We can end right there.
And we're done.
Thank you. Haikus have poetic turns. Thank you for listening to the Poetic Turn, everybody. And we're happy that a haiku expert, Jenny Bienemann, has given us the seal of approval, and we don't need to say anything more. No, thank you so much.
I heartily endorse this podcast. I think everyone should listen to it from everywhere in the world. Anyway, so it's sort of the modern haiku industry, if I may call it that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like me who really enjoy the challenge of the constraint, and but don't necessarily follow the rigid rules of it. Something else I like to think about is haiku actually was originally part of a longer poem. I'm sure you know this, called a renga, and it was it's just the first stanza of it. And when people would have parties, yeah, exactly. So we hand out business cards. We hand out our social media handles. At these parties, they recited the first stanza of their renga. Like, that was how you introduced yourself. Isn't that fascinating?
Yes, it is.
So imagine if we walked around today and we were like, all right, tell me your haiku. Tell me who you are by your haiku.
The world would be a better place, a more poetic place.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Well, what got you hooked on this form, this short little kind of poem?
Well, Evan, how long have you got? I actually started out life as an actor, and I graduated from college with 3 things: a degree in theater and 2 children. And so
I didn't know. My school didn't offer those. Evan, did you leave with children from Illinois Wesleyan?
No, it was a small private liberal arts school. They didn't.
That's what happens when you go to U of I, right?
Yeah.
So I got to Chicago. I couldn't really figure out how to make that part of my life. And I'd grown up doing it. I was in the western suburbs and things. And so the reason you'll understand why I'm telling you this. So I had little kids. I had a job. I had a new life. And being an actor was difficult because you had to wait for someone to tell you could come out and play. And you had to do it on other people's schedules, So I would stay up into the wee hours playing the guitar and writing songs. And I really felt a kind of creative freedom that I hope I'm conveying to you right now, because it was a joyous time where I felt like anything was possible. So fast forward, decades, 2 decades or something. And now I'm deeply firmly committed to my songwriting practice. And I have a job. And I have a family, growing kids, aging parents, now I'm married. I've got this whole thing. And so writing songs takes a kind of time that like I want to do, but I can't do every day. So I said to myself, well, what can I do every day? And I thought, I bet I could write a 3-line poem every day. Famous last words. And now I've been curled on the kitchen floor in the fetal position, breaking my head over 3 lines, just as much as I would over a song, Yeah. So, and when I started writing haiku again, I felt that tremendous creative freedom, just that incredible sense of possibility, and the wonder that happens every time you shave a syllable off, and it makes the meaning deeper. It's
Wow.
thrilling.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting to hear, and it makes such sense. I've read many, many, many haiku by Jenny Bienemann, and I'm often knocked out by there's a poetry, there's a turn, there's an emotion, there's a connection to life, there's universality, and it appears to be such a simple form. There's often a reference to nature. There's a historicity. So I'm such a fan of your haiku. She sends out an email,
Thank
and
you
we're going to put
kindly.
this in the show notes, related to Haiku Milieu, that includes haiku from Jenny and sometimes others. And people that are listening to this podcast should get on that email list. It's life affirming. It's warm. It's I've had tears come from reading the Haiku Milieu Sunday email that she sends out. So it can be very affecting. So simple yet so affecting.
Yeah, well,
Thank
and
you.
the haiku, it's like you sort of said, you can anguish over it, but because it is short, but it in some ways it's not very simple. And there's I forget where this is from, but there's some story of someone who wrote like a super long letter to someone, and they said, "P.S. I didn't have enough time to write you a shorter letter," because it's easy to get everything out in a bunch of words, but to actually distill it and to have movement and to get it where you want it to be, it's difficult. It's difficult.
Songwriters have been grappling with that. I mean, I think every creative discipline grapples with that. Many playwrights would tell you they wish the play could be longer. People who write books wish the movie could be longer. But it's really been a joy to experience having something out of your control, which is like the structure is the structure. There's a handful of poems I've published where I will say like, okay, I know this is not a haiku. I know it has 18 syllables, but it's just so perfect. I mean, in addition to the haiku, what I do is I take a picture and then I try to write the haiku to the picture. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I'm just writing a haiku and then I try to find a picture. But the way the two artistic disciplines talk to each other is as fascinating as anything else. It's really coming into conversation with what's right in front of you that you otherwise might have completely missed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that kind of poetry, I suppose, would be ekphrasis, is that right?
It's ekphrastic poetry,
Ekphrastic, yes.
Which I found out about recently. Ekphrastic poetry, writing to an image, yes.
Yeah, so it's a practice that has been going on probably as long as the written word has happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Why don't we jump into a haiku? Would that be all right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be great. Do you have something for us, Jenny?
Well, I do have something. I know we're going to get to this a little bit later, but once I started haikuing, people said, "Oh, you should make a book." And I was like, "Nah, I don't know if I need to make a book." But they were very insistent about it. And the good thing about people telling you to do something is it makes you feel like you probably should do it, right? You should do it when people want it.
Well, and then you don't feel so self-conscious about it. It's like, well, if you guys want this to happen.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'd like to read a haiku that comes out of this book, which is Sundays with Jenny. We're going to get to this later, but when I started releasing books to have the concert, I started inviting my songwriter friends to lift off. Oh, there, Darren's got it too. To lift off one of my haiku and write a song to it. And we'll talk more about it. There's almost 500 songs. There will be this summer. But my friend Ukulele Duke, I don't know if you guys know him at all.
I've heard. Yeah, I've
He
heard.
wrote
He's
a really
he's a crazy, nutty guy. He plays ukulele. He wears a cowboy outfit. He sings, and it's a bit irreverent, and he's not a skilled
and
ukulele
he
player.
writes wonderful songs. Yeah. And these songs are wonderful. So again, if the listening audience, I always frame haiku as a contact sport. I put my hand on my heart. I count the syllables. If you see me out at a restaurant or a coffee shop and I'm doing this with my fingers, you know I'm writing a haiku. Anyway, so the haiku that Ukulele Duke wrote his song to goes like this. Lay down your weapons. Love has got you surrounded. There is no way out. That is our
Could you
first
read that
haiku.
one more time as well? Just so
Yes.
we can
One more
have it
time
sink
for us.
in?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lay down your weapons. Love has got you surrounded. There is no way out.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, we'll look for that Ukulele Duke song and maybe link to it in the show notes if there's a YouTube video out there, or I'm not sure how computer savvy Duke is, but we'll see if that exists
Well,
somewhere.
Duke wouldn't have had to worry about putting it up there. We got it up there. Yeah.
Oh, good. There are more experienced and skilled people writing and delivering songs based on haiku. So tell us a little bit about the community. Who are these people?
Who are these miscreants, Darren? Who are these people who have committed their lives to their artistic practice against the grand indifference of the world? And how do they keep saying yes to doing this? I think there's something close to 200 artists that have participated since 2019. And we're getting close to 500 songs. We'll be celebrating that at Fitzgerald's on August 28th. The Friday of Labor Day weekend, we do the Haiku MILIEU After Dark concert. And that was a suggestion from some of the participants who were like, hey, what if we did sexy haiku songs? And I was like, be careful what you wish for. Because the Friday of Labor Day weekend is such a party in Chicago, right? A lot of people have left. So you have this great city to yourself. And so at that show, we'll be celebrating, it'll be the 25th Haiku MILIEU concert. We continue them all through COVID. We did 3 a year during COVID. And so we're getting close to 500 songs.
Wow.
And people, there's 5 Haiku MILIEU books. We just came out with another one this January. It's called The Comeback. And if you were to come see me, this is a tiny book. I fell in love with the tiny book format, sort of like the way I fell in love with the poems. I can't get enough of them. I mean, I walk around and they fall out of my pockets. It's ridiculous. But there's a long-form haiku poem here I thought I could share with you if you would like me to.
Yeah.
Yes,
that'd be
and one of the
great.
things about the comeback book, which of course I also have, it has Jenny shares these as part of the Haiku MILIEU evening. There are haiku that are about nature. There's haiku about love and loss, and the comeback has some haiku that have some spiciness to them and some humor. And if you could get yourself into a frame of mind where someone says something that upsets you or irritates you, and you had a haiku ready to zing back at them, well, you'll find some haiku like that in that comeback book.
You're as right as rain, Darren. I was going to read the foreword, but now you've inspired me to find a spicier one. So here's a good one. I'd love to miss you if you'd ever go away, but I'm busy then.
Yes.
Well,
Short and sweet.
That also draws some parallels to how similar poetry and jokes can be.
Yes.
And
The
and
setup.
how
Yeah, the setup.
there
and
is that the turning of both are potentially what makes both so fun.
Yes,
Yes.
you're right.
Well, let's
Would you
hear
like
the
me to give
forward.
you another from this?
Another
Yeah,
from that?
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Your attention is a gift you didn't give me. I can't return it. Well, this forward is something I've been reading at my shows. So it goes like this: hands on hearts, everyone, if we want to. You do not have to do things for other people for them to like you. You don't have to stop being who you are for those who wish they were you. The obligations, knowing or unknowingly embraced for safety. The expectations, willingly or otherwise accepted as truce. Let them go and see if they did what they should have, or if they did not. You already know. You tried so hard not to know. Now you can't not know. You don't need to tell anyone but yourself why you do what you do. You do need to know that your one and only job is to be yourself. You must understand that you make a difference, and you must make it. To wild applause, or to the lack of said thereof. Either way, you must. It won't be easy, but what wonderful thing is? And joy. Oh yes, joy. Whatever happens, know that despair is futile. Love will always win.
Alrighty.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
You know,
Spooled through. Yeah.
a word that, for some reason, in any poem, it always strikes me, and in this one in particular, the word must, and commands in poems. I really love those because they're, a lot of times I like to look at what would make a poem worse. And, one thing that could make it worse is something like, you could try this, you could think about doing this, but instead it's you must. And there's something more immediate about that and striking.
Yes.
It's interesting that you say that because I try very hard not to tell people what to do in my poems. And when I feel myself falling over that line, it's like it just doesn't make me feel good. But
Yeah.
there are times where it's just like that's the only answer. It's like, what are we gonna do? Not be ourselves? It's like you just don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Well, must, it's one of those words that you can't use it in every poem you ever write. Well, you could. There's nothing saying you can't. But when it is pulled out for things that maybe matter most, I think it's very effective.
Thank you.
Maybe another poem or two or more that is inspired. Some of the haiku have inspired a lot of songs. A lot of songs.
Well, could we talk about that for a second? Perhaps the difference between poetry and songwriting, or the similarities, because I've done some songwriting and done some stuff at the Old Town School of Folk Music. There's a writer named Joe Pug, who he's one of my favorites, and he's a very big fan of poetry, and he sort of says they're very different things to him. They're very, very different things. And so I wonder what you think about that.
I think they are very different things, like in the way that like I understand why they're in the same family. Like there's ice cream, there's gelato, there's frozen custard, and there's sherbet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of like what all the writing arts are in a way. Like they all involve words, right? So like ice cream, they're all sweet, they're all cold, but that it's in their differences that they become sublime. So for instance, when I'm writing a song, it actually happens in a different part of my being than writing a haiku. because you have to account for how the music makes you feel. And you have to account for how you, there's just more to do with a song. Like it's how the sound is, it's how the rhythm is, it's how the original inspiration is being expressed. There's just a lot more going on in a song. I mean, that's kind of the simple way of saying it.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more going on in a song. Whereas a haiku can contain multitudes, but basically it's from your mind and heart to someone else's mind and heart. And there's rhythm, and there's, not really rhyme and haiku, but there's all that's the playground for a haiku, and the playground for a song is just it's got a lot more there.
I wonder if maybe the brevity, you have fewer words, and so it can mean more. It can be more universal. It can be more ambiguous. If you have two words like, you had a couple of words like the dog laughed. Well, you could where would you take those few words? Where that could be a story, that could be a novel, that could be a song, that could be so the assumed simplicity of haiku just opens itself up for so much interpretation and expression.
Well, and perhaps it's also that it feels like haiku is a little more of a tightrope you're working on, because songs have things that can perhaps make up for the writing, a beautiful voice, a great melody, instrumentation. But the haiku sort of stands alone, and it's facing a lot more potential criticism because it's just there. That's all you have. Well, I would love to read this quote from one of my mentors and friends, Mike Tooney, who's a professor of poetry, and he wrote this article on haiku a long time ago, and it was about these sort of pop haiku books like Hockey Haiku and things like that are
haiku for cats.
Maybe at a gift shop,
Yeah.
But he used it interestingly to look at the movement of it. But he said in that, I think most haiku are pretty bad, kind of boring, and self-indulgent. But I have read some haiku that knock me out, that take off the top of my head, that floor me. However, such great haiku never seem to obey established categories. They are not written in one particular era or school or by one particular poet. Some do, and some don't have seasoned words. The greatness of haiku I admire is rare but shared. And this seems to me the essential data of haiku. And so there is this sort of sprawling mass of haiku in the world. And, what makes you write or read a haiku that knocks you out? Like, what do you think that commonality is?
Well, I think it is, I think this is common in all the art that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like somebody wrote it just for me.
Yeah.
That feeling of like, were they in my room? Were they listening to my thoughts?
Yeah.
There's that intimacy and that immediacy. And, we were talking earlier about like Darren said, the dog barked. You can imagine that on a white page, and those are the only words on the page. And it just opens the mind to all kinds of meanings. Yeah. I wouldn't say that line is the maybe the be all end all of what we're talking about, but I think that's also the effect of haiku on the page, is that just this sense of like opening.
Yeah.
And anybody who can hand me my life back in a way that I've not thought about it before and that makes me feel better about being alive, that's when I feel like I'm in the presence of an artist that I want to spend more time with,
Very well said. Yes.
That's great. Anytime could you say that again for us? Just so we can really get that hammered home.
I hope so. Anytime someone hands me my own life back and gives it to me in a way I hadn't thought about and makes me feel great about being here, like that's an artist I want to spend time with.
Yeah.
That talks about
and not
surprise.
every work of art. that is, yes, a surprise, but also like it doesn't have to be like a grand work of art to have that effect.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's just beautiful. And that, I think, to listeners, if you're reading poetry, that's a good path to follow, I think. That's a good path to follow. So if somebody does strike you like that, that's an artist you want in your life. That's a writer you want
Yes.
part of
Yeah.
your life. That's a really great framework for thinking about what is good to you.
Part of what we do here at the
Well, and
Poetic Turn is expose people to poetry. And yeah, if something grabs you, if there's a writer, a poet, just follow that thread. Absolutely.
I mean, those poets, like Darren's saying, when you find someone like that, just putting them in your bag makes you feel close to them all day. I'm not
Yeah.
the first one who observed that books can have a gravity on you, right? And there's that whole line of thinking like, don't trust anyone if you go in their house and you don't see any books. But like it is a thing where like books keep you company.
Yeah.
Great
Well,
poets keep you company.
I'll do that sometimes where I may not even be reading some books, but I'll have a stack of them that are maybe in the realm of what I'm thinking about, or certain poets that I want to be available right there just in case,
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, you can break glass in emergency. Yeah, yeah. So
exactly. Well,
open book in emergency.
I've read somewhere, I forget who said it. I need to actually remember who said these quotes, but it was something like the the your library is not like just because you haven't read some books in your personal library, it doesn't matter, because it is like your own personal pharmacy. And so when the need arises, it's good you had that right there. Because if
Yes.
you didn't
Oh my
have it,
goodness.
you'd be lost. But because you have that haiku book there that you've never opened, but it's always sort of drawn your eye, then one day you take it off the shelf, and that's the thing you needed to read.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Uh, I wonder if we could have more haiku from Jenny. Maybe we were talking about those haiku that really inspired a lot of songs as part of the haiku milieu. Are there two or three that pop out in that regard?
Well, Darren, how nice of you to ask. Well, we started with the song by Ukulele Duke. So there's 5 books right now under the Haiku Milieu umbrella. Haiku Milieu Volume 1 and 2, and then Sundays with Jenny, and then there's 2 tiny books. So from Haiku Milieu Volume 1, there's one haiku that has generated a lot of songs. And these songs actually got released, commercially released. So I put on concerts and people play kind of their song in the earliest incarnation. And if they wind up making the cut and getting commercially released, then you can find them. So these 2 songs I'm going to share with you, you could find on Spotify, and I can send you the links to the earliest performance, and you can compare what happened eventually. But the poem is from Haiku Milieu Volume 1. And the haiku goes like this: forever wishing to be somewhere else except when I am with you. Forever wishing to be somewhere else except when I am with you. So my husband, Robin Bienemann, released that song. It's called Forever Wishing on his album Songs About Work. And Rachel Drew has a different take of it on her album Old Sky New.
How does it make you feel when
Wow.
these amazing artists create songs with your haiku? I mean, how can you? What level of joy could an artist have to have that kind of tribute? Really, I mean, when the people first started doing this, what was that? What was that first idea? That first time you said, you know what, we're going to do? I'm going to send out my haiku. I'm going to have people write songs. What was that first impulse that led to that?
I just figured it would work. It's like the whole thing. It's like I just thought, we all
But
need a
it's
reason
become
to write.
such a big thing. It's become this part of people's lives, and it has this rich life and this. It goes on and on. Did you know it would be so successful and big?
I mean, I should say yes, right? I mean, absolute answer is like I thought I was going to do it once to release one book, you know.
Hmm.
And then there's just too many artists who are so great. So I had one for the first book was supported by the Illinois Arts Council. That was part of my commitment to them was to involve Illinois artists, right? So I wrote the book. A lot of the photos are from Illinois, and then putting on a concert with these Illinois artists. We did one at Fitzgerald's and one at Uncommon Ground, and then I just kind of got the bug to keep doing it. And the thing about it, Darren and Evan, is like when you remind me of how cool it is that somebody's writing songs to these haiku, I'm like, oh yeah, it is. But there's so much work to do around the concert that I almost never stop and think about it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. And her husband, partner in crime with Haiku Milieu, put so much effort in. And these shows. If people are hearing about this, you're going to look for when the next Haiku Milieu show is. You're going to attempt to get there. There are like 20 artists performing in one evening, 20,
Wow.
17, 30. I mean, there's just so many people on stage, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And there's a guy is kind of the wrangler and stage manager. His name is Robin Bienemann, and he just gets people on and off, and he has this wonderful ease about him, but he's brisk and efficient, and so his skill at making Haiku Milieu happen has to be recognized as well. But those evenings,
You're right, Darren.
some of the best evenings of watching and hearing music in all my days have been Haiku Milieu concerts, and some of the greatest artists. And Jenny and Robin are a part of a. There's this amazing family of artists based around Fitzgerald's in Berwyn, Illinois, and they've been performing together. They're a true family of friends and amazingly creative, skilled people. You'll find out more people hearing about this podcast if you're not familiar with Haiku Milieu, or maybe you're not even familiar with Fitzgerald's in Berwyn. You'll learn much more, and these are not random kind of people. These are incredibly skilled people that are singing and performing these songs and playing instruments and amazing shows.
Yeah. Well, to that end, I wonder if you could speak to what is it about Chicago that generates and attracts so many artists and writers and actors and etc.
Or is it Berwyn? Is it
Or
that part of
Yeah,
Chicago
I
area?
yeah, it's Chicagoland for sure. And before while I was a singer-songwriter, I always worked in the nonprofit world. So I'm part of the lineage of artists who's always had a day job. And God bless everyone out there who thinks that just because they're working a 9 to 5, that doesn't make them a real artist. I got news. Somebody should have told E. Cummings, right, that he wasn't a real artist. Because some of the artists you love best had day jobs. So I've always had a day job, which is how I can afford to do things like Haiku Milieu. Why do I think Chicago? Well, I mean, it sounds like all of us have some roots in the theater community. Back in the day, there was like that storefront theater movement. There was a real willingness to just roll up your sleeves, dive into the work, and trust that the rewards would come later, right? And over time, as happens in every industry, that's become more and more like people are like, wait a second, I should be getting paid for this. But they seeded the ground. And, when I'm in New York or I'm in LA for something, all I hear about is like, oh, Chicago people really do wish each other well. Whereas like those other communities, they're aware they might wish that they wished other people well, but they just didn't have that thing that we have.
Yeah.
And I don't know what makes Berwyn so special, why we got so lucky in this part of the world. I have no idea, but I'm old enough to know it's not happening everywhere and
yeah.
that we need to support it and foster it. And podcasts like this, The Poetic Turn, are helping that. And I think, there's a lot of arts all over the country, but this kind of like collaborative feeling where people are trying to get each other to the next level, that the camaraderie, the friendly competition. But and I think Darren's right about this, is like the haiku milieu stuff is leveling up and up and up, where it's, getting on stage in front of the band who's going to back you. You want to have a good song.
Yes.
You want to know your own song.
Yeah. Because you have
So,
so many astounding people that same evening. You don't want to be the one clunker of the 20 songs, even if you can barely play ukulele. I mean, whoever that person might be.
Well, that's almost, it's a great writing exercise you've sort of developed through this, because it's easy not to write. It's easy to not put pen to paper. But if you've got something that you're working towards, or the ability for a bunch of people to see you before you've finished it, it really is a good way to get yourself writing.
yes.
So that is a beautiful thing. And it's a way that you can do it with a supportive community.
And Jenny's inspired so many people. Well, we're going to do this haiku milieu thing. Go find a haiku, write a song. Okay, I'll do that. I want to be a part of this community. I want to be on stage with Jenny and Robin and Rachel Drew and Ron Lazzaretti and many other amazing artists. So I want to be a part of that, and I'm going to do my darndest to get it in on time. I get it on a deadline, and show up.
Yeah.
Well, let's as we kind of come to a close here, let's hear maybe one more haiku, Jenny. Maybe perhaps one that's inspired a lot of people, or one that just leaps out at you that you've encountered, one of your haiku that you'd like to share, or you feel like sharing.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I do want to, there is another one in addition to Forever Wishing. This one has inspired even more haiku. And a lot of people have written songs to this one. And it's not even one I had written down, but you said that and it makes me think it. I just want to say Naomi Ashley released a whole album with songs that were inspired by haiku milieu. Jodi Walker's got a wonderful new album with the song Wandering Eye on. John Langford released Tell Me Your Stories with the Bright Shiners. But the number one song written haiku is, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to tell you this. It's not a haiku, guys.
Wait,
I didn't even realize it till I published it and everybody wrote songs to it, but it goes like this. Tears like stars must fall. Hearts like stones must sink. Grief like dawn must break. Let me say it again.
I love that so much when I first read it. One more time again. Yes, please.
Tears like stars must fall. Hearts like stones must sink. Grief like dawn must break.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so much movement in that poem, movement of falling, breaking,
and all the must,
yeah, must
words
in that too.
Yeah, lots of must.
Yeah. Well, must. It puts it in almost the Venn diagram of poem and prayer or incantation. It gives a power to it.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny Bienemann, what can I say but oceans of gratitude for you being here today. Just our long friendship and acquaintanceship, and I've enjoyed attending so many Haiku Milieu performances, and this amazing community. And it's Chicago. It is Chicago. Just as a quick side note here, there was an actors' strike in the year 2000, and it was brutal for all the actors. I'm a commercial actor, mostly in Chicago, and all the people in Chicago it was a part of a community. We were really helping each other and doing things for each other. We'd hear about the sniping and difficulty in New York or LA, actors giving each other a hard time. But in Chicago, we were all so supportive. And so whatever area of endeavor, Chicago, this Midwest Chicago, big town, very supportive. And certainly the Haiku Milieu world started by Jenny Bienemann and her colleagues has been an amazing joy for so many, and we thank you so much for being on The Poetic Turn.
Yes, thank you so much. It was wonderful to meet you.
Well, I thank you guys for having me, and thank you for the work you're doing. Your website looks amazing. The program looks awesome. It's just like, talk about people advancing the art form and elevating consciousness about our creative community. You guys are doing it, so thank you.
Very, very kind. Thanks for the kind words. Appreciate it. Well, folks, if you've been listening to the sound of our voices, you've been listening to The Poetic Turn. And tell your friends, like and share, do all that podcast stuff we're supposed to do. Evan Carlson, thank you.
Thank you, Darren Stevens.
And Jenny, again, thanks. And we'll see you next time on The Poetic Turn.
Sounds great. Thank you.